Hi everyone, Patrick Brown here. Welcome to the new monthly project. This is number 23, and the theme for this month is Star Wars, to help celebrate the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show on Disney+. So all of my patrons have gone away for the month to draw, and they've got access to the entire Star Wars universe. So the possibilities are endless. There's a really broad range of characters. So let's dive in and we'll check out all of these entries. Each month I select 3 entries to critique. So congratulations Jordan, John and Patrick. I'm going to be diving into these and picking them apart, giving you some feedback. So that'll be a lot of fun, and we'll do that towards the end of the video. 3 absolutely awesome pieces, by the way. I mean, have a look at this. Jordan, that's just awesome. So good. Love that kind of style you've got going on there. So much detail. And John, your Darth Maul is looking really, really good there. Super crisp. And Patrick, your Leia is looking really good as well. So we'll get into those soon. Alright, let's start off with all of the submissions. So over here we've got Carl, Laras, and then there's Brett. Have a look at this Darth Vader by Carl. That is really cool. Really loving that angle. So dynamic. That low angle looking up. So that's awesome. Really liking this Rey as well by Laras. She's really well drawn. I really like that face. Love that whole setup there. She's looking absolutely great. And Brett, this is great. I really love that pose. He looks straight out of a comic book as well. The way this is drawn is just so cool, and really top-notch work on all that water as well. I can tell you've put some time into that. Absolutely awesome submissions there. Next up, we've got Craig, Jason, and Sai. Have a look at that Ahsoka. She's looking really cool. I love that action pose there up against Darth Maul. That is just absolutely awesome work there, Craig. Super dynamic. Loving this one. Jason as well. This baby Yoda. Really cute. That's just so nice and clean. You've done a really nice job of that line work in there. You should make some t-shirts out of that. That's really good. I love that. Such a cute baby Yoda. And Sai. This is a really good looking Darth Vader. I absolutely love this setup. Just so menacing, and I just think that's really well drawn. And it's not the only one that you've submitted. You've done like 5 submissions, so let's go and have a look. You've got one here of Kylo Ren as well. Really love what you've done with those lightsaber effects. That's awesome. That's so cool. And here's 2 other pieces here. Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth. That's really cool. Really nice there. And then you've got Darth Maul here, and I really love the kind of viciousness in here. Even the aggression in that saber is looking awesome. The Emperor, so cool. That's crazy. Loving those hands, really well drawn. So yeah, awesome work there, Sai. You're just absolutely killing it with all of these pieces here. All right, next up we've got Carl and Gavin. Carl, let's have a look at your Yoda. I'm really liking that pose there. Really nice action pose. The line work's looking really good as well. And this is your 2nd submission, so you've been really busy this month. You did an absolutely massive piece here. Huge picture. Look at all these characters. That'd make a good poster. You should get that printed, mate. That's really good. Nice to see so much work. And then Gavin, you've done a really cool looking Darth Vader over here. That pose is epic, really dynamic. I like the rendering on him as well. Overall, really great piece. Background especially is looking really good. So yeah, well done you two. Alright, next up we got Olivier and Paul and Renee over there. Let's have a look at this one over here of Olivier's. Mickey Mouse taking over Darth Vader like the Emperor. That's really cool. He's gone to the dark side. That's awesome. And you've done a 2nd piece here as well, which I'll zoom into. You got Yoda versus Darth Vader. That's awesome. I love the stuff in the foreground as well, so you've got a bit of distance. Really dynamic poses there as well, so that's great. Paul, I really love this Leia. She looks great. She's so well drawn. That face is absolutely gorgeous. I especially love the way you've kind of rendered that gun there. That shine is looking really nice down there. But no, she's looking great. The pose is awesome. Love seeing the Death Star up there. I reckon that would have taken some time to draw up. Did a top job of that one. And Renee, you've got Obi-Wan Kenobi over here, and you've got Darth Vader's shadow in the back there coming off him. Really smart move there. I love this. The angle, the setup, he looks awesome. And you also did a 2nd piece. So you've been busy too. You've done this massive picture here of Ahsoka versus Darth Vader. That is epic. I really love the stylization of Darth Vader here. The way you've done this is great, especially that lightsaber. She looks awesome, really dynamic. So well done you 3. Alright, Jeremy and Lucas. Let's have a look at Jeremy's work. I love your style. And this is from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We've got little Leia there. She's like 10 years old. And then you've got Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is great. I like this. Your style just really pops. Like it always just pops. And then over here, we got Lucas. And you've done Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader. You've done an entire scene, which is awesome to see. Those colours are really popping there. I especially love how you've got like blue and red kind of clashing against each other. The good and the bad. And yeah, Obi-Wan's looking really cool up there. Let's zoom in a bit. So nice work, guys. That's awesome. All right, Anthony and Apiv. Sorry if I've said that wrong. Let's have a look at this. Obi-Wan Kenobi from the show. You've got the little droid there as well. I love the foreshortening you've got through the lightsaber there coming right at us. So that's looking really cool, Anthony. You got a whole scene there. And over here we've got Apiv. And this is Cal from the Force Awakens video game, which I love. I love that game. I love the dynamic pose you've got here. Very nice setup. He looks great. I can see the likeness as well. So yeah, great work, guys. All right, next up is Abby, Cameron, and Carlos. And let's have a look at Abby's little cute little baby Yoda over here. This is looking really cool. Really well drawn as well, and he's just looking great. Looks really proud of himself with that lightsaber. Nice work there, Abby, and I really love how you've added in that soft shading now. So it's really nice to see that. Well done, Abby. And Cameron, you mentioned you were making your own Inquisitor here, and he's looking great, looking really cool. I love that pose, very imposing. So nice work there, mate. And Carlos, you've got Yoda. Love Yoda. He looks great. I love that hair. The hair looks really cool there. Yeah, nice work there. Very dynamic pose for Yoda. That'd make a good poster. So well done, guys. All right, next up, Douglas, Henrique, and Frank. And Douglas, have a look at this. You've got like a poster theme going on here with the Simpsons and the Star Wars action figures, limited edition. That's cool. They were huge collectibles back in the 80s. Enrique, this style of yours is really, really cool. That's just popping off the page there. I love it. Very pop art, like really nice pose there of Obi-Wan Kenobi. That foreshortening is awesome. And Frank, you've got this cool style over here, very Disney-like, which I like. It ties in very well, Disney and Star Wars. And it looks like we've got Leia here. And is that Anakin? I think it might be Anakin. I'm not sure. Sorry, mate. But that looks really cool. Really nice style there. And well done, you guys. All right, next up, we've got Tyr and Skylar and Virgil. So let's have a look at this one, Tyr. You got this awesome looking Darth Maul version spin-off of a female. It's kind of like a cross between Ahsoka's race. Unless it is an actual character. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. But she's looking really cool. Definitely on the dark side there. Awesome work. Mandalorian. This is looking great, Skylar. Love your Mandalorian. Baby Yoda there. Looking really cool. That pose is great. And Virgil. And Virgil here, you've got your another character. I think she must be an actual character. I'm sorry if I've if I've stuffed that up. Because you've done the same kind of character here. This is awesome. I like that low angle and all the skulls there as well. So yeah, great work, guys. This is absolutely epic. And the last few submissions, Aaron and Paul just made it in time. And check out Xander's Ahsoka there. That is awesome. So let's have a closer look here at Aaron's. That's really cool. You've got the stages of, is that Anakin's life? That's cool. Nice idea there. Awesome, Aaron. And Paul, I really want to just zoom into this. I actually made a second version that's bigger so we can just really get a look at that detail. You mentioned it's unfinished, but this is just absolutely killer work of Darth Maul here. Really want to showcase this one. It's just amazing. Those details are so good. And just the pose overall, like the actual pose, the setup. I love the foreground here of the lightsaber. And Xander, you got your Ahsoka over here. Those details are looking really good. She looks great. That's awesome. Yeah, great work, everyone. You guys are awesome. All right, time for the critiques. So we're going to start with Jordan. And this is a really cool piece here from Star Wars Fallen Order, the video game. And this is our hero here, Cal. And he looks great. That looks just like him too. Exactly like the actor. The artwork here is amazing. Really good work. Overall, I just really like that whole piece. The mood and everything. It's just great. I love it. Now, for the critique, I feel like just some of it is a little bit too unclear or blurred out, if you know what I mean. Like that painted looks really good, but if it was just refined a little more, it'd be great. So see, sections like this probably just needs to be tidied up a little bit or tightened up. Do you know what I mean? Things like the hair. And if you just added clarity to all of this kind of stuff, it'd just be top notch, this piece. Things like the lighting that comes up his leg here. I'd love to see that just cleaned up a little bit more. That would make this piece just pop. So I'll try and tidy that up soon just to show you what I mean. But first, I'd love to talk about just one of the errors that I'm noticing. Okay, so it's mostly with the setup. If you have a look here, this is what I've come up with. And you can see just on the original, the structure on the bottom was off. I feel like the perspective was off for the way he's standing. So I'll just show you a before and after. So before and then after, you can kind of see the difference there. So what I mean is, before, it's the perspective on this is going up as if you're at a low angle and you're looking up at him. But his perspective doesn't say that. He's got more of a front-on perspective, which would suit this kind of look. You see, I've changed the platform. I basically flipped it upside down and then added a platform for him to stand on. So that's the correct perspective according to his pose. But if you wanted to do another version that suits this structure, I'll show you. So this is the kind of perspective that you might see on Cal, if this is what we're going to base it off, this structure. So it's more of an upward angle, like we're really low and we're looking up at the character. So the original was kind of like that. So that's your original there. And I just felt like the angles were off on both of these objects. So that and that weren't matching. So now that matches. You can have that version, or you can have the other version that I made, where he's actually standing on top of the platform. So that's the original, and that's the platform that I made. And I even fixed the little robot there. So yeah, so that's what I recommend on those kind of things there, Jordan. It's mainly with the setup. The original setup I just felt just wasn't matching. So you can either do that version there or that version there. And like I said before, I think the rest is just to do with cleaning up, just refining. I'd really love to see this kind of focused on a little bit more. So let's try and fix up some of this hair. Here we go. So I've just kind of tidied up the hair a little bit more. It's more just seeing the little tiny strands, just a lot sharper overall, really, is what I'd love to see. And especially, yeah, if that was just added to the entire character, like a little bit of this metal and stuff like that, really making it shine, put a nice shimmer on it, kind of like that, just like a, see, I've just kind of refined that little bit of that metal. Can you imagine if that kind of stuff was just added over the entire character? It's always good to stop, have a look, and then give it like a big once over again, like over the top, and refine a lot of things, and you'll just have a killer piece in the end. So the only other thing, Jordan, that I'd recommend is try adding like a nice glow behind. Use that ambience that you've got, these, you know, this foggy kind of stuff in the back there. Adding just a little bit of a glow has just changed him completely. So by me zooming out from a distance now, I can really just see him from a mile away. I highly recommend doing something like that behind him. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I recommend. It's an absolutely awesome piece, Jordan. Love your work. Absolutely love your work. And yeah, keep it up. I hope these tips help. All right, next up is John, and let's have a look at your Darth Maul. This is absolutely awesome. Loving that action pose. Really, really dynamic. I love that he's just coming straight at us. I couldn't resist. I really had to have a go at this one. Now, I don't really have anything to say about your line work. I think that's great. Your rendering style is really coming along as well, so that's good. I think the only thing I'd have to say is probably these rim lights here. They do look good, but I think they're a little bit too harsh. So I think if we settled those down a bit, it'd be really good. I'll try and show you what I mean there. But first, the main thing I want to talk about is just the setup of the overall final piece. I think we just need to really bring him up nice and close, get that foreshortening in. The foreshortening's a lot stronger, so his arm is now really forward and coming at us. You could even go more than that, I reckon. So what if I really size that up even more? Just got to make sure I'm not going too overboard, but I think that's pretty good. But yeah, from the original, you can see, I think he's just too far away. It's okay to crop some things off sometimes, because you can still see the lightsaber quite clearly. Really, all you're losing is just a little tip of each of these lightsabers. And now you've got him nice and close, and you can get into those details even further and have a really good look at him. So it's really just about using the crop, and then imagine adding in that title now. Like, So that's the original. I even blew up the title some more so it looks more comic-like. And it's okay to cover the title because we can still read it quite clearly. I think that works a lot better actually. Make use of all that space. And then what I would probably do is just go into liquify. I'm just going to shrink his eyes just a little bit. I just feel like the eyes might be just a bit too big. There we go. So that's the changes that I've just made. I also fixed the mouth a little bit. So if you just see before, I felt like the eyes were just a little bit too big. So I did that and I put a little bit more aggression into the mouth as well. So that's kind of what I recommend. There we go. I just fixed up the pupils a little bit there, cleaned them up a bit. I might also get the dodge tool out, just give it a soft once over to lighten that. And then maybe a little bit of saturation as well. So I'm getting the saturation brush out now in Photoshop and just giving that just a tiny little bit more saturation over it. There we go. So see what I mean about the edge lighting here? I've just tidied it up a bit. So before it was just too solid, a little too obvious. So now I'm just making it more subtle, more blended. So you see how some of it kind of blends in like a cell shaded level. Yeah, just blend it a little bit more so it's not so harsh. If you were going to get the red one, I'd probably do the same. So I'm just lightly pressing over now so that it has a nice blend to it. So there we go. That's it. That's all I would fix on yours, John. I think that's an amazing piece. You've done such a good Darth Maul. So let's just have a quick look at the original before I started. So that's what we had there. So it was a bit too far back for me, I think. And I really wanted to make use of all this space. And yeah, I think that's much better now when it's up in your face a little bit more. The foreshortening makes sense because when things are further away, foreshortening is much less. I hope that helps, John. Awesome work and keep it up. All right, next up is Patrick, and you've done Princess Leia here when she's like chained up by Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi. And this is really cool. I like the dynamic kind of pose that you've got stretching across, really yanking on those chains. And I love the facial expression as well. She's drawn really well there, so that's good. All right, let's dive into your critique. So I'm just going to make a few proportion changes to her body. Okay, so here's the changes that I've just made. So before it was that, and now it's that. So you can see the kind of body changes I've made. I just felt like that she was just too skinny through the middle of the waist there before. So just through here, I really wanted to kind of thicken that out, just proportion wise. And the rest are just minor little tweaks around the rest of the body, tiny little ones, just like the wrist. I just fixed that up a little bit. I still want to make this arm a little shorter. I feel like it's just a tiny bit long. And this calf down here as well is just, I just brought that calf up a little higher. There we go. So I've just made the arm a little bit smaller. Shorter, I should say, a bit shorter. So that was before, and now I've brought it up a little bit more. So before I did all those changes again, it was that, and now it's that. I've just cleaned up the hands a little bit here. I feel like we just need to have a little bit more detail in the hands. So if you just have a look at the original here, I do see that you've got the knuckle drawn in there and there. I would love to see the fourth finger because it just comes across as 3 fingers there. So I'd love to see that fourth one. I've tucked it in right up the back. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out. I'd love to see a little bit more line work in the hands, just detail. And that just makes all the difference because our eyes are really drawn to hands. So let's make sure we get some nice focus on those. So I've also done it over here. Just drawn a few extra details through the knuckles just so we can get it all in. There we go. I'd love to see the line work coming through just around that jawline, just a bit more stronger up through here because it's just kind of blending with the rendering a little bit too much there. So there we go. I love that face. I don't really even have any changes on that face apart from a little bit of that line work to be just a little stronger, especially where that nose goes, and the eyebrow as well. Make the eyebrow really stand out a little bit more, shows more aggression that way. Alright, so now that we've got that, the last thing that I want to fix on this piece is I feel like it just needs more density. So I've got Leia on her own separate, you know, I spent about 20 minutes cutting her out, but I've got her separate from everything else. So what I'm going to do is get the levels. So here in Photoshop, levels, and I might play around with the shadows part. So pull the shadows up, make it more dense, get the midtones and bring them back so that we kind of get to where we were with those midtones before. and just play with it until we feel like she's got more density. Okay, there we go. So, and now using the burn tool in Photoshop, and I've got it set to shadows up here. I'm going to give her another once over with that. So I'm focusing on your shadowed areas, anywhere where it's going to be really dark. So like under the armpit there, definitely under the armpit. There we go. So I've just done a lot of the density using the burn tool set to shadows, and I played around with some midtones as well. So look at this. I'll show you. Before I did all that, it was like this, a little bit flatter. So I just made it a bit more density in it. It does have a little bit too much saturation in some areas, which we'll have to play around with. I also just added in some chrome, so like more density into the metallic areas. Especially look at the skin compared to the metallic bits. So because they're both totally different textures, so we're going to need to get a little bit more harsh, solid shading into that metallic area there. So I just added some density to that. And yeah, you can see the kind of big difference there. So the next thing I would probably do is I'm just going to get that burn tool again, set to shadows again, and I'm just going to burn that background now and make it like really dense in that background where Jabba the Hutt is, and add a lot of, you know, harsh shadowing around where I think it might go, especially down on that step there. Have a bit going down there where her shadow is, where she might be stepping. So I'll add some darker shadows there. And then I'll get the dodge tool, which is the opposite. So it's going to lighten things up. I'm going to set that to highlights this time because I want to lighten up behind her, just make it look a bit more dynamic. And one last thing, I'm going to add some dynamic light to her. So I'm going to darken her right down. She's duplicated, by the way, her layer, so that when I start to fade back some parts, we can start to see the original again. And I think that's going to really add a lot of dynamic light to this. It's probably all she needs. But I'd probably prefer to do it with a soft brush, I reckon, kind of like this, and start to bring her back, mainly on all the parts where I think she needs to shine. Get that fist back in there, and then by adding a rim light around the back, I think that'll really top this off. So there we go. There's that rim light, and with Jabba the Hutt in the back, I might actually do a really cool color balance, I think. So if I select the shadows and make them real blue, maybe a tinge of, I don't know, green, make them more green, and then on the highlights I might make them like yellowy, and I feel like that's a pretty cool kind of color balance there. There we go. And the last thing I might do is just like lighten up a few of these, you know, some light stuff in the back, and then I might just add to these rim lights a nice cool, like, you know, cool light bouncing off her skin there. So get that real kind of 80s vibe going on it. There we go, that should do it. You see, with that extra glow kind of enhancement over the top, I can probably tone it down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So that's what I recommend. So adding those kind of extras to this piece. So we'll look at the original. So that's before I started. So it's mainly with the waist, and then I wanted some density through the whole thing, and then I added some dynamic light to it and some rim lights as well. So if I had to give one main tip overall, I'd probably just recommend, yeah, with the density, I feel like we need to just add a little bit more depth into your rendering, that's all. And that way it just doesn't come across too kind of flat. So I hope that helps. Great work there, Patrick. I really like your layer. I think she's awesome. And this is mainly you. This is all your work. I've only done some adjustments. That's all it is. A couple of adjustments. So you're doing really good stuff. Well, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I absolutely loved that. Those critiques were a lot of fun. If you'd like to jump on board these monthly projects, just jump on my Patreon at patreon.com/PatrickBrown, and you'll be able to take part in these monthly projects. I've got art competitions. I release tutorials every second Friday. There's tons of art files. All of my art's available, and Photoshop documents as well. There's just so many bonuses available, and it's like $10 a month and cancel anytime. It's great for any artist, and it's a really good motivator, especially being connected to my Discord and having access to like 500 other artists who help each other, and the motivation just goes through the roof. All right, well, thank you everyone. I'm gonna go and plan the next monthly project, and keep drawing. I'll see you all later. Bye everyone.